How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we have some really cool news, some exciting news to talk about. Final Fantasy XVI has been announced for the PS5. Yes, we have gotten the Final Fantasy XVI reveal trailer during the PlayStation 5 announcement live stream where they were showing off a lot of the different games, and the first one they started off with was Final Fantasy XVI. There had been some rumors here and there through the grapevine that this game was going to be announced. A lot of people thought Project Athena was going to be FF16, but no, we have two separate games coming from Square that are very Final Fantasy just like Final Fantasy games. But no, we have actual Final Fantasy 16 and we have Project Athena or Athanas. I don't know how it's said. I'm sorry guys, but we have Final Fantasy 16 coming to us on the PS5, but they also retracted a PC announcement, which I thought was interesting. And this is going to be a exclusive to the PlayStation experience. It's going to be a PS5 exclusive, I do believe. At least for now, or that's what we know so far about it, is it is going to be a exclusive for the console. I don't know if it's coming out for PS4 at all. It might just be a PS5 only type of thing. But we did get a trailer here, and we got some different things we could look at here, some different pictures and screenshots for the game. In fact, the Final Fantasy 16 director, Naoki Yoshida, was revealed to be the producer on Final Fantasy 16. The next big Final Fantasy 16 reveal event is set to be in 2021. So we do not have any thing regarding the actual release date of this game. And it talks about some other things. The first episode of Final Fantasy VII Remake breaking franchise records. So they're doing really well so far with their game and what's going on here. But let's get into some more details about Final Fantasy XVI. It is going to be set in a medieval fantasy setting, and it does talk about more summons and crystals that are revealed for the game. But let's go over some of the actual artwork and the actual things we have going on here. Thanks for the ad, Google. I appreciate that. But we have some of the artwork for the game here. So this is going to be our cover art, which looks really nice. That nice Final Fantasy logo where it's just a white background with the text, the Roman numerals, and then some fancy art in front of it. It's super simple, but kind of not at the same time, with like the actual art on the front there. And these are actually two different characters right here, and it talks more about these summons, the characters summoning into different things. And this medieval setting does look pretty interesting. I'm not 100% sure. I know some of the older Final Fantasy games had something like that, but it seems like from 7 onward we haven't really got anything medieval like. So this might be a game reaching back towards the roots of the Final Fantasy series. This might be chronologically. I know the Final Fantasy games don't really run with each other at all, but time-wise, this seems to be further back than I think any of the other Final Fantasy games have really been. I mean, this is a really sharp contrast compared to Final Fantasy 15. I mean, Final Fantasy 15 seems super futuristic in the future. You know, they had the big cities, they had a lot of stuff there and technology. This looks like it's going to be really far back. Maybe some origin stories regarding these summons and the crystals, the things that we are typically used to seeing in a Final Fantasy game. But yeah, this is probably going to be our cover art. I'd expect this to be on the game cases themselves and what we're going to be seeing for a while regarding Final Fantasy 16. It's weird saying that because it's been so long since a new Final Fantasy game came out. I just got used to saying 15 and seeing the Roman numeral 15. Now we're seeing 16. It's just like, we're eventually going to get to where it's like, you know, when you watch a Super Bowl, I don't watch sports, but like you see a Super Bowl like announcement and it shows the Super Bowl like Roman numeral at the bottom. You're like, what the fuck is that Roman numeral? Like it's like 6 digits long. Like, what's going on here? I don't know. Let's keep going. Rambling on. But here's some screenshots of the trailer. I can't show the whole trailer, you know, copyright reasons. But I believe we got a couple of the main cast characters showing here. Some of the lads, some of the boys. At first glance, when I started seeing this, I didn't think it was going to be Final Fantasy because of this medieval setting. It looks, you know, a whole lot different. And this character is super familiar. I do believe she's from the online game, or she looks like she's from the online game. She's a summon, I'm pretty sure, doing the whole ice thing. Yeah, but overall this game looks pretty good. Another one of our main cast characters, I believe to be here. The Doge, yeah. And this little guy here who turns into the Phoenix that we see on the cover of the game, which is super interesting. We're seeing a lot of these just like normal looking characters transform into summons, it looks like, which is somewhat of an interesting thing to look at here. And you could definitely tell, compared to the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 15, that this does look more like the Final Fantasy VII Remake in terms of the character models and whatnot. Something tells me, and this is more than likely what was going on, is they were more than likely working on the Final Fantasy VII Remake and this game at the same time. So we can probably assume that a lot of the assets and the ways that people look in this game are probably going to behave very similar to the way that we had seen in Final Fantasy VII Remake. It was very impressive seeing Final Fantasy VII Remake compared to 15. It looks like we're really going to be getting to experience a game that is going to look really good. This might be them trying to even one-up Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is a new main title game, right? They had to do more stuff than the remake would have, and heck, the remake's not even completely done yet, so we're gonna have to wait for more details on that. More of the characters here. This medieval theme really is all throughout. It reminds me similarly to some of the older Assassin's Creed games, I guess, like Brotherhood and 2. It looks somewhat similar, but this is going to be a nice setting, I think, for a new Final Fantasy game. I think, anyway. Some white chocobos there. I think the chocobos were the first thing you could see in the trailer that was like, oh, it's a Final Fantasy game. Gotcha. And overall, this looks very nice. Nicely done here. The combat looks nice. I don't know where this is, but we're seeing sceneries and places that we haven't seen in a Final Fantasy game. It's super cool to see them branch out, and I think this is what a lot of people really wanted for the series, is to see some new variety. And man, this looks really good. I don't even know what that is. Very Cthulhu-like looking monster, but it looks like they're definitely branching out, which is very nice to see. The monsters look good. Everything honestly looks just super good in this game. I think it's another monster there. Who knows what this is? I don't know what the story is going to be like exactly. We're only getting glimpses of the main characters, the legacy of the crystals. So like, again, talking about those crystals, this looks like to be more of an origin story regarding the crystals that we see in the further games like 15 and stuff like that. This looks to be like more of a origin story. So another close-up there of one of the boys. And another one. These two dudes look fairly similar. I don't even know. You could tell me that's the same guy and I'd probably believe you. It might be. I honestly don't know. At first glance, it's hard to tell what's going on here. But it might be different. This could be an after shot here. It looks like it might have been some time since, maybe he got that. I'm not 100% sure, but it does seem to be the exact same guy, just judging from what the trailer shows and everything. But yeah. That's going to be all for the pictures there. I'm excited for this game. Like I said, no release date so far. We know that we're getting more news about this in 2021, so something tells me it's probably going to be releasing mid to late 2021. More than likely, that's what's going to be happening, just basing on the facts that they're saying they're going to be announcing more in 2021. It's probably going to be coming out either that year or possibly, and I hate to say it, even the year after. Just judging by how Final Fantasy does their stuff, this could be a game that we end up seeing later on. It might not even be a game that we see coming out next year, just from how they have been. They've been doing pretty good, though, but I guess we're just going to have to see. It's hard to tell, really, with how Square Enix is with their games, whether or not this is going to be something we get next year. But this looks really nice, and I want this to do well. Don't make this a Final Fantasy 15 kind of deal where you try to make an entire universe around it and have 2 season passes. Don't do it, Square. Take your time on it. Get that game finished, then release it. I don't care if it takes longer. Just take your time with this, Square. I don't want this to be another Final Fantasy 15 incident all over again. The game is good and all, but 2 season passes, you gotta watch the anime, you gotta watch the movie before. It's like, dude, it's way too much. Way too much. I'd like them to have a coherent game this year, especially now that the games are going to be more than likely $70 for next gen. Let's just keep it simple. I hope they keep it simple. We're just going to see, guys. But like, comment, subscribe for more content. Let me know, do you like looking at Final Fantasy 16 stuff? Is that something you'd be interested in? Should I cover more of that stuff on the channel? Let me know down in the comments below. If you have any questions, go ahead, shoot. I could probably answer a couple of them for you. I'm decently into the Final Fantasy franchise, so I might know some stuff about it. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.